I'm an entrepreneur. I run an HR consulting firm, which I've done for the last 17 years, called Cerebris Consultants. And I also have the honor of chairing the TiE Stree Shakti for the last 3 years. And I'm very happy to see many familiar faces back here. So I'm going to start with Pratibha. Pratibha Pilgaonkar. Each one of them will tell you their little story themselves. Pratibha, please come up. Pratibha is actually one of the bodies of the TiE Stree Shakti program, and she runs a research company in pharmaceuticals, and she was just telling me, which is a KPO, which has also moved on now in manufacturing, and she employs 300 women. And then we have Manisha Sangani. Manisha runs a retail and distribution company, and she does and focuses on women's watches. And then we have Preeti Sharma. Runs an IT training company and has been 20 years in business. That's right, Preeti? Yeah. And so as she told me, I've weathered many storms. This is not one storm, but I can tell you of many of them in the last 20 years. And finally, we have got our newest entrepreneur, Falguni here. Falguni, of course, is very famous as the managing director of Kotak Investment Bank. And after an extremely successful career in financial services, she decided to drop it all to start an e-commerce company into women's beauty products. And she's invested a lot in it. Newly launched, but I said it's nice to hear from a person who, in this difficult time, has taken the call to be an entrepreneur when everyone says that business is. So what I'm going to do is to first call each one of them to give a brief introduction, more than of themselves, of their business, what their business is, why did they start the business, where they are today in that journey. So Pratibha, we'll start with, please pick up the mic and.
Hello, good afternoon everybody, and thanks Anita for this introduction. I'm Pratibha. I run a company called Rubicon Research, which we started 12 years back. I started this along with my another partner, who's again a lady entrepreneur. So two of us started this company 12 years back as a R&D company, when R&D company in pharmaceuticals was not a very known kind of business opportunity. But we took this step, and last 12 years we've been successfully running. And now this company has graduated into 300 strong people company, and we have started manufacturing as also our verticals. So we are a R&D and innovation-based manufacturing company. Thank you.
Pratibha, how did you decide to get in, be an entrepreneur? Were you a scientist before?
Yes, I was a scientist, but a scientist, I was also a technical manager. I was leading teams of scientists in the earlier companies, which were multinationals. And of course, I got some business orientation in those companies. But this entrepreneurial bug, I think, was working on me for quite some time. And it took me a long time to be prepared for taking the final kind of plan. And after almost 25 years of working in the bigger organizations, leading the teams, leading the people, I took the step of starting the process for myself, for my own company.
And so what is the one biggest challenge you feel you faced as an entrepreneur which you did not face as an employee?
There are one and plus one, but first thing is to get good talent and retain the talent, and to provide the cash flow which are essential to meet their expectations. So this is one challenge, and I think every entrepreneur and every startup and in early stage that they face this problem.
So what do you think about what has made you successful and managed 12 years of staying in a field like this, what do you think has enabled your company to be successful? Is it the knowledge that you have of the business? Is it your relationships with customers? What do you feel has made you successful?
Yeah, we started this company as a knowledge process outsourcing company. So the skill set, capabilities, knowledge, these were the basic prime requirements. And as the as the founder members, we ourselves had this hands-on knowledge. So getting new talent and building these teams was comparatively easy task for us because we were not completely dependent on them. We ourselves had this capability and we could translate this, we could lead the team. That was one thing. And second thing, we also adapted ourselves to the environment, the changing environment, because initially when we started there was hardly any competition. But as we grew up, the competition increased. People's expectations, the customer focus that we had earlier, that changed. And we quickly but we adapted to those changes. That was the one thing which really helped to make a success out of this. And we could best out of our people by having a focus on the people development as well.
Thank you. Preeti, let's hear something about you and what has made your organization successful. Okay. Actually, in a very competitive field now.
Okay. Preeti Sharma, and I'm the person who heads Pragati. I see some of the people who know me here already. Pragati has been the pioneer of classroom training on IT subjects in the country. We were the first who said that, okay, there's going to be this thing that you invest in people to train them. You know, about 20 years ago, nobody wanted to invest money to train somebody. So we're the pioneers there. Today we are having about 350 customers on our panel. We continuously train on 150 subjects. We have our affiliates all over the country. So we really have this great job of training more than 1 lakh people in a year. So that's a huge job.
Preeti, you know, the last 3 years, I would say, you know, suddenly with taking a downturn, you know, this craze for IT training has sort of gone down from where it is. How have you coped with sort of market factors in this situation?
See, I think what has happened is that the first thing we have done is we've identify to be closer to our customer. Even though IT has gone down, the need for training continues because we know that customers will continuously need training. So what is very important is remain close to the customer and try to maximum requirements from them. So it's at 50, you really know them in and out.
So you feel that whichever way the market is, if you are close to your customer, business will still be there. You know, since IT has had a downturn also, do you feel there's something different about how it is now than, you know, say what happened in 2008 or earlier in 2001 when IT took the first downturn?
I think what is different this time is that we are not prepared. It's the first time we have a downturn, you really just know what's hit you. You know, like suddenly your sales go down and suddenly the customer doesn't buy it and suddenly everybody has so many objections selling something. Previously it's very easy, you just go to the customer and get an order. When the IT recession comes, you really have to realize what is different about this recession is that everybody is much better prepared. You are much better prepared, the customer is much better prepared, your strategies are in place because you already tried them out before. So it's a bit easier because it's not the first time. So that's how it's different.
So did you have to ask, sort of restructure, ask your people to leave, or did you have to do any of that? Because sometimes that's a hard decision to take. I always feel that as a small entrepreneur, these decisions are much harder to take than as a company. And I'm always, you know, challenged in my business. Always give me advice to large companies, and I know that I would do something very different in my own sort of business. So, some of that.
I think she's asked a very good question. In one of the recessions, we actually had to downsize people, and let me tell you, it's a very difficult thing. And the IIM Ahmedabad itself has done a case study on downsizing. So I think as entrepreneurs we have to understand that if say 10,000 families or something depend on us, and if we are able to downsize certain and save 9,750, I think it is a very difficult decision. It's a huge emotional toil on the entrepreneur because you probably know each one personally. But then if you have to really make a decision, you do it. So
that's part of entrepreneurship, that you have to take the hard calls. But the other side of that as a small entrepreneur, many times when business gets better, you have to rehire people. Do you think it hurts your ability to rehire people?
It depends on how sensitively you handle the downsizing. If you are able to explain to all the people who support you and all the people who go that this was necessary and it's got nothing to do with their competence or the way they were as people, and if you are able to help them get jobs, you are able to help retrain them to get better roles, and finally if everybody is happy and if you handle it sensitively, then you really, it doesn't matter. Next time you can hire. Depends on how well and sensitively you handle it.
Yeah. And Preeti, finally, what do you think is the one thing that you've done which has distinguished and enabled you to survive?
I think it's very good marketing. It's very good customer relationship. It's like being close to your customer, and on the other hand, very good relationship with entire stakeholders. So may it be your customer, may it be employee, may it be your banker, may it be your TiE, may it be Ascent, may it be anybody who interacts with Pragati software or Preeti has to go back with a positive feeling. I think if that's what you look at, that's the biggest success. So people just come back to you because they know you're very good. That's what I've done.
Thank you, Preeti. Manisha, your story.
Hi, I'm Manisha Sangani. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoy the session. Women have a challenge when we set up an organization because the challenges are the life balance that we have to handle. 12 years ago, we set up a distribution firm called Priority Marketing, distributing the top brands from Fossil, Armani, D&G. In 2007, they decided to set up a subsidiary. Overnight, as a woman, we realized that we did not have any business and we had 315 employees. Entrepreneur is only for a fraction shaken, but they always come up with innovative ideas to continue. The first thing we realized that, okay, these brands, we have a relationship. We can take the fight out to a court, or we can take them on our side and we have a retail firm, taking them part of, and then they'd be supportive in getting a corner in our retail firm. Second thing we did was that we built brands, so we knew years, we understood merchandising, fashion, and we started our own brand called Aspen. And these were things that helped because the woman is very, very quick and intuitive. That's what I see for all of us. And secondly, we can storm any cities.
So you think that the fact that you thought from what's going to be useful to who were your customers and oriented your entire business, that's what helped you to deal with the first downturn. You know, we hear a lot now that retail is not doing very well last year and consumers are not willing to spend. And you've been in a business which is kind of a business. How have you coped with this?
Fashion is not a necessity, but still during the downturn when the economy is low, one thing you realize, the consumer also needs a feel-good and positive factor. What you do is you try to spend a little less on marketing. You even downsize and exactly explain to your families why. We already spoke on that. But the main thing we did was give the consumer more for a lower price, a better product, a dressy product. Even that's on our own brand. Even in our retail store, we would say, okay, we do things like within in-store, a festival, or just a glitz festival, which was at a lower price. That's what.
So you think that the price factor kind of makes a difference for you to get? Is it a different set of customers than who are coming?
No, it's the same customer. In downturn, the customer still has the feel to buy, but he has a certain amount of money. And in consumer more so, likes, I mean, in the marketing language, you'll say don't discount, don't do it. But there are innovative ways to say, you know, you get a 1,000 rupee voucher or you get an add-on in some way. Believe me, it attracts a customer because he feels that he has bargained in some way and also got a double dual effect to one price. And that works in India.
We are all very price conscious. We all also like to get a good deal.
Good deal.
Yeah. But how many employees do you have now?
Now we've downsized from 316 to 179. And what we've done is we've outsourced quite a few. Like we've got consultants in financial areas and sales and retailing. And that's worked well. The team is very passionate and there's a sense of ownership with it.
So your learning from that earlier one was that if you can outsource and run it as partnerships, then you take the onus of that responsibility on yourself.
Both ways there's a challenge. I have found in outsourcing, there is a lot more that goes out from you. When the person is employed by within you, he's living and breathing the product. With a consultant, you've got to get him to have an ownership and understand your product well. Sometimes they too, consultants may have a change within their company, and let's say advertising agency, and there's a brand manager who it's you're going back and training that person that he thinks the same way as you do.
So, in the net, have you felt it better to have people in-house, or have you felt that these partnerships have worked better?
This is balance. What you have is when you have in-house, either you need to have the experience to train them and have them upgrade. Sometimes they don't upgrade, so you get in a certain stagnant line. When you're outsourcing, changes are also good because they come in with a lot more experience and they are well read in that area.
So you're balancing the expertise.
We're balancing the expertise. Yeah,
with that. You know, I want to actually both you and Preeti. I mean, both of you talked of this experience of downsizing, and Preeti did talk of it being hard. You also talked about it, you know, having done quite substantial one. So, has that made you sort of feel, you know, the responsibility of having so many employees? Is that too high a responsibility as an entrepreneur one takes?
It is. So when we downsized, when we had 316 employees, when you're an entrepreneur, you feel that those families are a responsibility. So when we downsized, the first thing we did was, personally, I would counsel each person, and Preeti said earlier, that it was that at least half of them or few of them would continue to have their bread and butter, and the others we made sure we found jobs for at least 80% of them, and 20% we could not help, especially the high strata because the economy was bad the last 3 years, but 80% of them we made sure they got placement somewhere or the other, and we organized that.
You know, I've often wondered whether it is that, you know, women are too emotional about their employees, start thinking of it as family. So I ask this question many times, you know, in my own your work, there are lots of people who, you know, downsizing and so on. And I somehow seem to always find that the, you know, women are far more emotional on this. Do you think we need to be a little more just practical about, you know, business ups and downs?
I'll talk on this on a personal front because not all are same, but I'm an extremely emotional person and I work from my heart. Either I could see that as a weakness or that as a strength. What has worked is I knew that was a shortcoming I had and I decided to enhance that as a strength. What you did was you would talk to the person, your heart was there. At the same time, because of the shortcoming you had, I would read up and explain to them that, you know, this is how I feel, and they can read it on you and they feel it. But the business, you know, the economy is growing at this level. The business luckily has not had any down growth. We had turnover that's at a certain level. So, you know, when you talk numbers and they can see the emotion in you, believe me, the downsizing doesn't hurt as much. And women need to do that. If you can't be hard-boiled, then you've got to play with the numbers at the same time.
What do you feel?
In my case, heading an IT company, I do have to be data. So even though I am also emotional. I don't allow it to come in any decision making. I tend to separate both the compartments and say, okay, I am a woman, but that's fine at home. I am here as an intellectual person, and I just take whatever decision is right for the business. But taking forward Manisha's point, yes, it's a very emotionally draining experience, and I think the best way to do is to find out whether those people have reached safe harbors. So, I mean, after 3 months or 6 months, if you call the person and keep in touch over a span of 20 years, like I've been in business, it matters a lot. So just keep in touch with your ex-employees, or keep in touch where they've joined, and just find out if they're fine. All those cards get wiped off for you and for them. So I would like to balance the practical side and the emotional side, and just use the best of both.
No experience in this? Yes, sure.
Sorry. I must tell you, out of the 120 we had to let off, as we've been growing and our company's been growing in the last year, 15 of them rejoined us, and that was possible only because when we let them off, it was done in the right way. And I cried when every employee left. So don't feel bad about crying. My employees have seen me crying, and they've seen me even yelling at the top of, you are a woman, you're allowed to do both things.
I think what he explained, it is a business decision, and one has to take it without being guilty about it, because what we do is we build their skill sets while they are there. We are taking care of their needs, and we are making them worthy of facing the world. So that way it should not, one should not feel the kind of guilt, and because when they are there and when we have given them all what we could, and if the business realities compel us to take some decisions for survival of the rest of the unit, I think one should not have that guilt feeling. And fortunately I did not have to go through it, but I think I will take a more rational view of the situation.
So finally, let me come to Falguni. Falguni, in this market, when everyone's talking of, as you hear, rationalization and others, you took this brave decision to become entrepreneur at this moment and actually bet on beauty, bet on women, and I would say put aside your entire career of 25 years, which was successful. What was your motivation? Tell us a little about Nykaa. How do you, it's, what shall I say, a breath of fresh air to see so much positivism at this point in time.
Thanks, Anita. Yeah, I just want to share that obviously I was very keen to start an entrepreneurial journey, and while I was at Kotak and I was heading the investment bank and institutional broking business and extremely involved and happy and satisfied in that job, the entrepreneurial, not being an entrepreneur used to bother me, and I was, in the last 2-3 years, I was very keen to do something about it. And as I carefully evaluated various options, I just felt that beauty is likely to be a much bigger business in India. I mean, it's already growing and it's going to be a very big business, like it is internationally. And I felt that for a professional turning entrepreneur, it gave me space and ability to build something compared to entering an industry that was already crowded. So it was a very conscious choice to bet on beauty because of a belief that it's going to be big business, not necessarily because I like beauty or I'm interested in beauty, but more from its long-term potential. We've already launched our website, nykaa.com, and we want to be a one-stop beauty destination with a whole range of beauty products, both Indian and international, available under one roof through our e-commerce platform. We also are planning to offer a lot of expert advice as well as content online. And what excited me the most about this business was being able to learn and understand Indian women, who are basically located in 100 cities in India. They are educated, they are interested in beauty, they are interested in themselves, they think positively, and that to me was the most exciting part of this business that I'm building. And hoping to, trying to do it during downturn came from a conviction. Having been an investment banker, I've seen cycles, excessive bearishness nor bullishness is justified, and I feel everything is a cyclicality. So to the extent I'm building during the downturn, it's good. It's a time well used to get ready for the next big bull run when it happens in India.
But Falguni, we've seen a lot of e-commerce business for the last decade, and all of us have been waiting for the time when it's going to really take off. What made you feel that this is the time when it will take off? Because it's been around almost for a decade. I remember at 2000, everyone was in that dot-com boom and everyone said, e-commerce has arrived, but actually the brick and mortar structure has still been, if you look at retailing, which is also at this moment taking off in a brick and mortar kind of way in India, what made you feel that your model will be successful?
No, I think as far as e-commerce is concerned, I don't know if everyone's looked at the data in the recent times, but clearly compared to 10 years ago, in the last 2 to 3 years, e-commerce has been growing. So number of people online, whether on Facebook or on e-commerce, is growing. Purchases of e-commerce is growing. Before I decided to start this business, there is clearly there is enough activity, both whether it is Flipkart or whether it is some of the big e-commerce brands. They're doing well. Even internationally, Amazon is doing well. But within all that opportunity, and obviously it's going to become better, because I think as more broadband becomes more popular and a lot more mobile, through 4G and all, as more data can come to us through mobiles, I think it's going to be a very big opportunity, and that is how the US and all the international markets are going. Now, within all that, there are other issues in e-commerce. The space gets crowded, there is too much competition sometimes, and actually only 3-4 brands dominate, and then the rest do not find the space. And then what are the barriers to entry? So I felt consciously I chose beauty because it was not too crowded. I felt there may be that ability to be that top brands, retailer brand that you can be. And I'm hoping, and I think I'm seeing that there will be barriers to entry, because already many of the branded companies are saying, and that's why I chose a branded field like beauty instead of fashion, which is all non-branded, because branded players are saying they will not have more than 3 e-commerce companies retailing their products. So these will be the barriers to entry, and there will be very few players who will be what you call as a full beauty destination, or a whole range of products will be available on our site. There will be others who may have limited range of products, so there will be an offering for different customers, but I'm hoping that there are barriers to entry that are created so that a couple of brands dominate, and that is what is happening with Amazon, you can say. Now, whether we'll be that one is, I think it all is about the execution and how we do things right.
Falguni, I just want to ask you that you've been a person who was obviously well known in the finance field, and now the field you've chosen, branding, technology, these are going to be the important things. I've seen most entrepreneurs tend to start in an area which they know well, as you sort of saw even here in our panel, and kind of have the comfort that I know everything about this business. And that's what gives you the personal confidence. Even I, as an individual, felt that I know my space very well, and so I feel confident to be an entrepreneur. So you've taken this totally different view. How do you expect to manage in an area which is not totally your field?
So I feel like finance and legal, compliance, general business management, these were my strength. And the 2 areas that I was one I was weak at was technology, and the other one that I had not tried my hand at but was basically consumer marketing. But in one area I have this inherent confidence that I do understand Indian women and I do understand what they will like, so I'm willing to go with my own judgment on consumer marketing. But on the technology, I'm the weakest, that's my weakest link. So I've surrounded myself with a number of team members who are good at technology. I listen to them, I try to understand through them. I can definitely feel that I'm learning, and I try to make the right decision. But yeah, that's not my strength, and will that be at a disadvantage vis-a-vis a technology-oriented e-commerce company? Maybe, but then I think my business is about retailing, my business is about consumer insight, and technology is an enabler. So I'm hoping that what I feel are the strengths, which is consumer insight, consumer marketing, in the long run play out, and we are able to write the technology challenge.
So Falguni, I just want to ask you that as you've said, consumer insight and so on are very important in your business. As an entrepreneur, sometimes one feels very vulnerable if you feel on key things. You depend on someone else. How do you feel about that as you're starting up?
Yeah, so as I already said that technology is that point where I really
so what do you do to mitigate that for yourself?
So I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of consultants. I talk to people who I think are good at technology, and I just meet a lot of people. I learn from them. I understand various options. I ask a lot of questions, and then I try to hopefully arrive at the right decision along with my team. In our first phase, we did arrive at the right decision. I feel good about it. But yeah, I do feel lucky that I arrived at the right decision. So it's a little bit, I have to admit that it's my weak point.
No, so what of your past training do you think is really sort of helping? There's a training of, having worked for so many years which enables you to, because I think as an investment banker, you jumped into sectors and things which you knew nothing about, and the ability to get into depth quickly. Do you think that's what's helping?
Ability to understand the business model and the ability to understand the financial projections and mindset, that I think that's my strength, so that's not an issue. But you're right, I do rely on my past experiences. So as a consultant, I used to ask a lot of questions and learn from others and learn from people who are good at it. I mean, very often that's what consultants do. They go and ask the right questions and learn and understand the situation and help the clients only make the right decision. So I think I'm using a little bit of that approach. As an investment banker, actually, I did not leverage my, I ignored technology, and I did not ask enough questions, and I was hesitant to make technology decisions. And now I feel that I cannot do that being in e-commerce. So I'm changing, I'm changing from what I thought, I did wrong during my investment banking days. In investment banking, it didn't matter because it was all about knowing the customers, large corporates who were your customers. And we knew finance very well, we knew our market very well. So I think this drawback on technology didn't come to forefront, but I could have used it better. And I'm really excited at what today technology has to offer. And clearly, what I want to do for consumer will only come through competency on technology. But I'm asking a lot, I'm meeting a lot of people, I'm learning from a lot of people, and that's how I'm trying to fill the gap.
Finally, I do think for a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met that you've spent a lot of time in researching what you sort of, going to do. I don't usually find people generally jump into it. Do you agree with me? People generally jump into something they're passionate, but you've kind of taken a very logical rather than, shall I say, from the heart kind of decision. Is that true?
Yeah, you're right. I took a very logical decision, not based on some in-depth market research done by external people, but a lot of questions that I asked myself. So I asked myself how many people are online, how many people are buying online, Flipkart has how many unique visitors, what are they doing, or in other areas like what is the L'Oreal's India turnover. I ensured that I knew what that was. What is the largest retailer like Shoppers Stop selling. So a number of data points that were necessary for me to validate the business plan and understand the cost structure. So I do feel more comfortable understanding my whole cost structure. Having said that, understanding is not doing, and basically what turns out in terms of so many customers will define my average ticket size, so many customers will define what they buy, will define my margins. So even if I know my business model inside out, how it pans out is a matter of, it is going to unfold in future. And I may have a good sense of how it is likely to be, but only time will tell,
And I think having started, as I would say, a little later in your sort of career span into entrepreneurship, how excited do you feel about now being in a very different phase in your life?
I was very, very keen to start an entrepreneurial journey, and I'm so happy that I really took the plunge and I did that. I just really feel that it's a very different journey than a professional, and we at Kotak used to pride ourselves in the fact that we are all professional entrepreneurs, and we used to be told all the time that we are professional entrepreneurs. And what that means is that you're taking the decisions. So yeah, as a manager, I used to take the decisions. As a manager, I was accountable. I used to manage. So a lot of things were common. but the risk-taking ability, being able to believe in the future and being able to build towards the future, which I think is very unique in an entrepreneurial journey. I'm really enjoying that. Before I sort of go on, I want to ask the audience any questions that any of you would like to ask any of these people about their entrepreneurial journey. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of hands. Yes. Can I just get some mics? Is there a mic that you can get to the lady?
We generally talk about women entrepreneurs, we're doing a gender differentiation, and most often the said thing is, is the work-life balance. I managed my children thanks to my maid, I managed it despite a husband and marriage or whatever, right? But what else can we go beyond that to understand what was that gender difference you bring as a woman entrepreneur? And also, is there any distinct disadvantage any of you could cite that happened because of you being the gender of a female? So I just thought that it would be interesting if each one of you could say that.
Very valid question. All women question themselves before they go on to this journey. The advantages I saw, my daughters are very proud of me, and time and again they've said they're happier to have a mother like me because they see the independence and the education. The guilt of not being there during the day, you give in a lot more time at night, and which converts to a better education system because you read to them. You just don't waste time by taking them for lunches or whatever. And on weekends you spend a lot of fun time with them. So all the time spent matters a lot versus if you're just a home mom. And sorry, homemakers also make fabulous moms, so I'm not trying to put anyone down. But that is the difference I found in my own family.
I feel that this entrepreneurship is really beyond any gender bias. It is an individual passion with which one goes ahead. And today's world, that being woman and being at disadvantage, all those things, at least my generation, which is quite a long way back, that time there may have been some of these concerns. But I think in today's world, those concerns, they are completely invalid. And it is the passion, it is the need, it is the urge in you to take up something, entrepreneurship as a way of life. That is the only thing. It is completely beyond any gender.
Yeah, I would agree. I think actually this question on gender should not even come for entrepreneurship. I think perhaps each gender brings its own strengths to what they do. And I think, we compete as women on, equal plane, I will say, with men in the marketplace. Finally, it's the marketplace that I wanted to ask a question. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mishti. I have a theatre-based corporate training set up. And first, I would like to thank all of you. This is very inspiring for us. And thank you so much. I would like to ask a question to Preeti. Preeti's been in the training business for many years and she's been a pioneer herself. So you have been speaking about being close to your customer. That's as very imperative. So any specific ways or advice that you would want to lend as to how one can be effectively close to the customer and keep the customer engaged?
Is to be in his mind. Okay, so every time he considers training, he considers Pragati or Preeti or whatever. And how do you do that? Because your customer has really a challenge of time. So you probably are a very small vendor to the whole customers, vendor pool, etc. And how do you keep in touch and be a very preferred person is by doing a lot of social media. With a whole lot of effort you need to do in terms of advertising or PR or website or emailing or SMS marketing, a whole lot of things where you are continuously in, not really, wasting his time, but then you're kind of present in his horizon. That's the first thing. The most important thing is once the customer comes and utilizes your service, unless your code is never going to come back. So there's a whole amount of effort you need to do on quality initiatives to give the best to the customer. It's not just getting the customer, it's also delivering value. At the end of the day, in a training business, if you do not teach them to really understand the subject, they don't come back to you. And in IT, it's more difficult because if they don't understand at the end of those 5 days how to program better in Java, then they will not come back. So there's a whole amount of customer work you do, and there's a whole amount of delivery work you do this side. So you kind of time both, and then you give, and then you continuously keep on getting more business.
Thank you so much. Very valuable.
Yes, madam.
What is the form of business you have? Proprietorship, private limited, partnership?
I think we'll ask those individual questions later because each one would have a different one. Yeah. Any other question that? Yeah.
And how many businesses are export oriented and local?
No, I think we will not get into those individual questions, madam. Each one you can talk to her offline. Yeah. Any other questions that anyone would like to ask? Yes.
Typically, one sees in male business, the way men run businesses, there's a lot of...
Just hold it up, we are not...
There's a lot of old boys network, there's a lot of, male compatibility that happens, whereas women typically have to go back home or they have issues of going and, sitting around clubs and having a drink. How much does that affect actually developing the business? And has there been a solution that you all have found for any of these things?
You're talking of work-life balance issues?
No.
Yes.
Just developing business. Very often you have an old boys network where because pure networking, it's easier for guys to do networking. They can go alone, forget about their families, go for
Okay, so you mean how do they manage to do the networking required for business?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any of you would like to answer? Yeah. That needed a lot of networking before. Yeah.
So I think it's very necessary to do a fair amount, how to balance with vis-a-vis family life. I can't say, each one has to see, but it's clearly necessary if your job demands it. There are jobs which don't need it, but if the job demands it, I think being part of that networking in terms of, you may not go out to a pub, but at least being in public gatherings where you could meet them, like at a CII event or any of the public gatherings where you could meet your customers, because being in front of your customers, being top of mind for them is important. And the second thing is, I also feel that women very often don't talk business, whereas men do talk a lot of business when they meet in these social gatherings. And that mindset also has to change, and one has to be open to talking business, in these gatherings. And I myself went through a little learning on that, because and these are barriers in your mind and you don't do that. And I was at a McKinsey session where I clearly heard that they'd done a lot of research globally and they saw that this was one of the things holding back women. And I consciously decided to correct it. I used to go, but I used to not talk enough business, and I consciously corrected it. So I think if your business needs it, like maybe Preeti's business or my earlier business of investment banking, then sure, it's necessary. Now, like as a e-commerce entrepreneur, maybe less, but still by being connected to a lot of men who may have knowledge, they may have experiences from where I can learn. So I think unless you connect up, you don't learn, So I think there is a need for some of that.